we are right now. It's the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160. He is Nathanael Arthurs. The Jimmy Stewart Air Show is coming up. You want a mug for the camera there for it, Nathanael? Nice job. Nice job. Unfortunately, Mr. Safaran can't do that because he's on the line with us this morning, but I'm sure he would be dancing along with you if he were here in the studio right now.
We're here.
There you go. You can join the conversation by watching on our Facebook page. Our conversation brought to you by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Brian, you there?
Yes, sir, I am.
Terrific. Nathanael, introduce him.
Hi, this is Brian Safaran. He's from Liberty Aviation Museum in Port Clinton, Ohio. He was the connection for us to bring the B-25 in. And also, he is the one that started the Flight of the Flags, which we're going to get into a little bit of detail here as well. But yeah. I'm very excited for what Brian has to offer here. And I'm very thankful also for our sponsors that make this happen in our air show, our community event. The Indiana CEO in affiliates, without them, we couldn't make it happen. So Indiana Center for Economic Operation Affiliates, again, and all of our sponsors and volunteers. We had a volunteer meeting on Sunday, and we are so pumped, and we are ready to knock the leather off the ball with this one. So, Brian, I appreciate you taking time, and thank you, Todd, for connecting this as well. And Brian will let Todd go ahead and do the interview. But Brian Safaran, you can tell us a little bit about yourself and what you...
Well, I have to admit, I listen to the radio a lot, but this is to be asked to be on the radio is a little different. I have to admit that.
Well, Brian, I have a face for radio, just so you know, okay?
Hey, before we get started on that, tell me about this air show that you're having. It seems like it's got a very strong veterans theme, which kind of plays into what it is that we've been doing. Is it true you're going to honor 3 different veterans from different conflicts?
Yes, we're working with the Veterans Affairs with Diane Overman and Al Lockard right now at our opening ceremonies are 11 o'clock on that Saturday. We're going to be honoring a local veteran from World War II, a Korean War vet, and a Vietnam vet. It's something we do every year. We've usually done it in a hangar dance, but with the COVID, we feel there's a lot more area outside for spacing. We got plenty of room for spacing outside. It's a total outdoor event. And we're just taking the ball and running with this one. So we're really excited for it because we've got a great audience for it as well. And we're going to tie into the Flight of the Flags with this too, Brian, with what you've done. And I think you said five airports so far across the country, and you said the Blue Angels currently just got in contact with you as well, correct?
Yeah, you're the 4th, and the 5th will be later on in the year.
Okay, 4th. Okay, we're number 4. Cool.
Do I even need to be here? The two of you are doing well.
Sorry. Yeah.
Hey, Brian, tell me about the plane that you're bringing here to Indiana.
Well, Liberty Aviation Museum, even though it says Aviation Museum, it's got tons of Jeeps and tanks and guns and motorcycles and stuff from the World War II era, but they've got this pristine B-25 bomber and the torpedo plane that's coming that belongs to Charlie Cartledge. That's also based right there next to the B-25.
Oh.
So this thing was completely and expensively, restored several years ago, and it is an absolute beautiful example of these fine airplanes. And we invite everybody to, get up close, take a look at it. And they've got some. Everybody likes to get their picture taken up by the nose art on the front here. So.
Yeah.
Looking for it. Well, actually, there's 2 pictures. One on one side, it's called Georgie's Gal, and one is a little angel girl on one side, and on the other side is a little devil girl. And whenever the ladies come on up to get their picture taken, I say, well, you have to stand in front of the picture that most depicts yourself. And we've had a heck of a lot more pictures over on the devil side than we had on the angel side, trust me. Anyway,
I love it.
Once again, I want to bring up, you had mentioned your sponsors, and without those sponsors, we wouldn't have these airplanes here. They're expensive to operate, they're expensive to maintain, and it's great that you're having these venues that expose everybody to not only the airplanes, but the museums that host them and stuff, and hopefully people will, now that COVID's over, they'll start traveling and maybe stop and see where these things are based at.
They can see home base and see more than just the plane that you're bringing here. But they're going
Well,
to be able to see a bunch of planes here, Nathaniel,
Yes.
as planes and other aircraft as we celebrate the Jimmy Stewart Air Show. We should tell folks when it is.
Yeah, it's July 10th and 11th. That's where it's at. You can get information on jimmystewartairport.com and like us on Facebook. We're doing an update every evening of a new event. There are so many moving parts to this, and where you can get your tickets locally, there's only a limited supply, so you want to get out there and get them because ticket sales are really getting hot right now. So we have Luxembourg's Uptown, the 700 Shop, the Indiana County Tourist Bureau, Mark Arbuckle Nissan, all the Delaney dealerships, the Indiana County Airport as well, the 700 Shop down in Katanning, and Star Chevrolet on Route 30 in Greensburg is also selling tickets. And again, I want to thank the Liberty Aviation Museum for their generosity to make this happen, because they really cut the price on bringing it here. And it's really nice that they want to expose this for everybody to come see it, because where you can get up personal with an airplane is right here at the airport, which is really nice to do. So,
Hey, Brian, tell me about, did you call it Flight of the Flags?
Well, yeah, and although the air show does start on the 10th, we're bringing the airplane in the day before, so everybody be listening for those big radial engines as we come on into the airport on Friday.
and when you come in, just find Main Street, Philadelphia Street, come down and tilt those wings back and forth to wave at Todd. He loves that. So it even circle the station here, you know. It's on the corner of 9th and Philadelphia Street. You can't miss it.
Right by the courthouse.
Yeah, just don't drop anything, okay?
The way this all started, I've always been a fan of antique airplanes. And that means I've tended to hang around people that were like 30 years older than I was. And I'm not giving out my age, but I did apply for my Medicare package here just a little bit ago. So you can do the math and realize that these people that I've worked with and stuff are the World War II, Vietnam. I'm not Vietnam, but Korea War vintage. Well, these people start passing away. And I went to this one funeral in the church, and it really struck me. I walked in, and there was a flag draped over the coffin. And I'm going like, oh, what a nice touch. I mean, that's right, he was in the military. Mm-hmm. Well, we had our service, and then when we went out to the cemetery, I looked out, and by the gravesite, here is a full honor guard with all of the flags, a gentleman with the bugle standing at attention, all these riflemen. And I'm going like, what in the world is going on here? Well, once the ceremony was done and it was time to actually put the coffin in the ground, the honor guard took over. And they have this crisp, precise performance of taking this flag and folding it in this unique way. There's a specific meaning for every one of the 13 folds. And then they present it to the family. And when they're giving it to him, I can't believe, here's a stranger, looking at a stranger, but it's the steely gauge of, it's like he's giving a gift to his mother or something. And they're thanking him for the service. And then the 21-gun salute, and then there was taps. And I'm going, wow, that was pretty amazing. Well, wouldn't you know it, another friend of mine passed away. Only this time he was buried in a veteran cemetery. Now, I've heard of Arlington, but I didn't know these veteran cemeteries are all over the country. And they're getting to be pretty busy. I mean, and all they do is perform this wonderful last tribute to the men and women who served with this flag folding ceremony, the 21-gun salute, and the taps. So I was thinking, boy, if you didn't have a veteran in your family who passed away, you probably never would see this really wonderful tribute. So I'm thinking, like, how can I let everybody see this, but then let them have, like, some fun and stuff, too? So I went to the museum where both of those airplanes were based, and I just went up and asked them, could I sponsor your airplanes and have them do this ceremony? And they said, heck yes. And that's how we started. The very first one was a couple of years ago, and the local VFW came on out. They did a ceremony. Since we're close to Cleveland, Geraldo Rivera has moved to Cleveland, and he's got a radio show there. And whether you agree with his politics or not, he's a huge supporter of the military and veterans. And he actually came on out and was our Grand Marshal stuff for the very first one. He rode along on the very first flight of the flag. So we're finding, and I have to admit, I have to give a lot of credit to Charlie Cartledge, the gentleman that's bringing that torpedo bomber in. because he goes to these other air shows that have a veterans theme. And then he says, well, what about this airport? There's a place out in Peru, Illinois, that has a entirely dedicated to Veterans Air Show, very similar, to what you're having. And when I call these people on up and say, I kind of have started something over here. Would this be something you'd be interested in? And everybody seems to be extremely enthusiastic about it, just like Nathaneal. He was my point man on this one. And you just leave this to me, and he ran with it. I'm really looking forward to how he puts his thing through. I tell you what, every time we do this, something else gets added to it. When we were in Peru, I said, could we fly this flag? And he goes, we'll do something better than that. They took 4 of those torpedo bombers, loaded all the flags into one because they do this missing man formation, where the 4 planes fly on over and then one plane pulls on up away from everybody else. Well, that's the one that hit all the flags. Now, your place, I was just reading Nathaniel's notes. You're actually going to have a blessing of the flags, which is a wonderful idea. So I'm really enthusiastic about coming out and seeing you.
Yeah. And what we're doing here is keeping the stories alive of our veterans and realize that freedom is not free, so the younger generation can understand that. So we invite the families locally that have this flag. It's usually a triangle flag stuck up on a mantle or put away in storage somewhere. We want to bring those stories back out. We want you to get a hold of the Veterans Fair at 724-465-3815, or you can email alockard@indianacountypa.gov, and we're organizing that through the Veterans Affairs. So we encourage everybody. We need the DD-214, the discharge papers as well. So it's Delta 214. And we'll get you lined up and get you more information on that. So again, get in contact with Indiana County Veterans Affairs. We want to keep those stories alive, and we'll give you more details on that as well.
Terrific stuff.
One thing I could suggest is this last one that we did, they brought in all of these flags, and, they're laid out. I don't know how you have things planned for yours, but ours were collected in one area initially, and people brought pictures of the people that the flags represent.
Yeah.
So you can actually see a face rather than just a bunch of flags folded on up. And that was really kind of nice just to see who was this person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, we are out of time for this segment. These things go by so quickly. Nathaniel, you're going to be back with us tomorrow.
I'll be back in tomorrow with Mike Goulian at 8:45.
Can I ask one question before you go?
You can.
I am so excited about coming to the Jimmy Stewart Airport. I want to go downtown. Is it true that when you're going across the street that the
Yes.
The crosswalk,
you have
yes.
his voice?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's actually Rich Little's voice. He did them special for us here in Indiana.
I can't wait to go across the crosswalk and listen to that. I mean, what a unique signature to your city.
And Brian, wait till you see our museum, the Jimmy Stewart Museum. You'll be really excited about that. Yeah, we're going to give you a grand tour.
I'm going. I can't wait to see it.
Terrific stuff.
All right. Hey, thanks, Brian, for your time, and thank you, Todd, for your time as well.
Our pleasure. All right, we'll talk to you again tomorrow.
All right.
Brian, we'll see you in a week or so.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
It is the voice of